So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. Kaduki back here, BSN Network. This is BSN Network podcast here today. It is Thursday, May 20th. Hopefully everybody's having a good day so far and had a good rest of their day yesterday. It is in fact Thursday, May 20th here today. We are coming off of a big night in Yankees baseball. The New York Yankees got the win 2-0, but more importantly than that, Corey Kluber pitched the 6th no-hitter in the 2021 MLB season and the 311th no-hitter all-time in the MLB. It was a great start by Kluber. He walked one guy, struck out 9, pitched a 9-inning shutout no-hitter. Was just dominant. His off-speed was on. His fastball looked good. Kluber, by far the best start of the season, and he continues to get better each start, and the stats show that. And I was sitting there last night, watching that game. To just witness a no-hitter was just amazing. And, I know a lot of people have their thoughts on no-hitters about, what their thoughts on no-hitters now, obviously with, there being so many no-hitters. But I look at it as, hey, he got a no-hitter. That's one of the rare accomplishments in baseball. It is not easy. You're going to go down in the history books to have a no-hitter. Right, the 7-inning shutouts you have, that doesn't go down in the history books. What does is the no-hitter, and obviously first Yankee to throw that type since 1999 when David Cone did it with the New York Yankees. He did it the perfect game. So the last time the Yankees threw a no-hitter perfect game was David Cone's perfect game. Obviously Kluber did not throw a perfect game. He threw a no-hitter. So, obviously did not allow a hit. He had the one walk. He doesn't walk that batter. It's a perfect game. But I'm not going to sit here and, say, oh, it should have been a perfect game. No. All right. He pitched well. He pitched great. I mean, he threw a no-hitter. It's the 6th of the MLB season. And I talked about yesterday about the no-hitters. I mean, it's crazy how many no-hitters we are seeing in baseball. And, I mentioned yesterday about, why that could be. But, yesterday, like I said, I still think no-hitters are a great accomplishment. I still think it's great when you throw one. It's still very hard. A lot of people don't think no-hitters are that hard to throw anymore because there's 6 already this year. No, okay? No-hitters are still a great accomplishment. They're one of the greatest things they're one of the hardest things you can do. They're still very hard. You go out there and try not to let up a hit. So, a great start by Corey Kluber. Yankees got the win 2-0. To be honest, the Yankees didn't even really play that well in terms of hitting. We only had 4 hits. 4 hits and 2 runs scored. So it wasn't like it was a blowout. It wasn't like it was a 10-0 win. It was a 2-0 game. And the Rangers went into that 9th inning with a chance. A lot of times in no-hitters, you go into the 9th inning without a chance. But they went into that 9th inning with a chance. If they got a hit, all of a sudden the tying runs at the plate. So, Yankees got the win, 2-0. Kluber pitched a no-hitter. Big night for New York sports. Big night in the MLB. Kluber's the talk of the New York Yankees right now. So, that's kind of happened last night. Mets also got a win, like I mentioned. Yankees got a win. I got my Yankees jersey on today. It's the Cole jersey. Did not throw a no-hitter yet with its Yankees, but I would assume within the next 8 years, Cole might throw a no-hitter. I would assume. Some players never throw a no-hitter, but, if there's a guy to do it, it would be him. But I got the Yankees jersey on today. Got to celebrate the no-hitter. It was great to just witness it. It was great to watch it. It was great to see it. We were witnessing history last night, and Corey Kluber did it. Like I mentioned, Yankees won, Mets won, Nets, Knicks still off. Nets and Knicks got their game times for the weekend. The Nets played 8 o'clock on Saturday night Eastern Standard Time, and the Knicks play on 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday night. So the Nets will open up their series against the Celtics on Saturday night, and the Knicks will open up their series against the Hawks on Sunday night. So that's good. That's exciting. Obviously, look forward to that. And the Yankees close out their series today against the Texas Rangers. Mets have a day off, and the hockey's in full swing. Playoff hockey's in full swing. Lakers beat the Warriors last night. Grizzlies beat the Spurs. So Lakers are in today. The Lakers will play the Suns first round, and the Warriors will now play the Grizzlies, and the winner of that will play the Utah Jazz. And tonight we got the Pacers Wizards. I'm sorry. Did I say Wizards? I meant Warriors. So Warriors, last night was the Lakers-Warriors. Lakers won that game. And now tonight it's the Warriors-Grizzlies, or tomorrow. Now it's going to be the Warriors-Grizzlies, and whoever wins that game, because the Grizzlies beat the Spurs, whoever wins that game will play the Jazz. And tonight we got the Wizards and Pacers, and the winner of that will play the Philadelphia 76ers. And then your playoffs will be all mapped out. So these are the topics for today's podcast. No surprise, of course, I'm going to talk about Corey Kluber's no-hitter. I mean, I don't even know if it's not even a question. Of course, I'm going to talk about Corey Kluber's no-hitter. That's not a question. It's obviously definitely going to talk about it. It's big. It's big for the New York Yankees. It's big for the MLB. It's big for Yankees fans. It's big for New York sports. So I'm going to get into it, break down some of the stats, just tell you how good he was as the Yankees pick up the win, and just talk about how good he was, his pitches, and no-hitters in general, and just pitching in baseball in general. And obviously, the Yankees got the job done. And I'm looking at, you got the box score here, and you look zeros across the board, and you get to the run, hits, and errors column, and it's all zeros. So good to see. No-hitter by Corey Kluber. And I'll tell you what, another thing that makes this no-hitter extra special. Not that he has any issue with the Texas Rangers, right? It's not like him and the Texas Rangers had a bad breakup, okay? They signed him on a one-year deal. He pitched one inning with the Texas Rangers, ended up needing to get shoulder surgery. That obviously sidelined him for the entire rest of the season, especially that was only 60 games. He was ended up a free agent. He signed with the New York Yankees, and I believe it is a 1 year with, I think, maybe a player option for the second or something. I don't know. But he signed a 1 year deal with the Yankees, and he threw no-hitter his first game back with the Texas Rangers. So the last time, and it's crazy, that just goes to show you the comeback that he had. The last time he was on that field in Globe Life Field pitching, he was done for the year. He hurt his shoulder. He was done. He pitched one inning. And then yesterday he went out there, pitched 9 innings, no hits, no runs, 1 walk, and a no-hitter. So it's pretty crazy it's pretty crazy what has happened to him. He went from shoulder surgery at 35 years old to now throwing a no-hitter with his former team against his former team at 35 years old. Pretty special for Corey Kluber. So I get into all that stuff. Then I want to get into some more NHL stuff. Nathan McKinnon yesterday had a hat trick, and I wanted to talk about that because that, to me, is just unbelievable. The guy is just on another level. He's having a great playoffs right now, and he had a hat trick yesterday, and they're giving the Blues a whooping. They won 6-3 yesterday, and then obviously they opened up the first game 4-1. So they're giving the Blues a pretty big whooping. And I'll tell you how, to be honest, I'm going to talk about McKinnon. I also want to talk a little about the Avalanche because the Avalanche are something else. And, I predicted them to win it all, but I think what we've seen in these 2 Blues games, we're seeing even more of a reason why they should win it all. I mean, they're just playing so good together as a team. McKinnon, if he gets hot like he was last night, this is definitely the best team in the NHL and definitely a very scary team to go up against. Even if you're the best of the best out there, the Avalanche, very well, they just tower over everyone, and they're smoking the Blues right now. I said they were going to sweep the Blues. They need 2 more wins to sweep them. All signs are pointing they will. They don't look like they're letting up at all, but we'll see how it all plays out. So I wanted to get into that. Then we'll finish up the podcast with the New York sports update. A lot going on in the New York sports. From last night to getting into the weekend to Corey Kluber's no-hitter. The Mets got a win. Nets and Knicks, play this weekend. Yankees and play today. Mets have a day off. Islanders play again today. They head back home as they will be back in New York today. They will play 2 games there, and then they'll head back on the road to Pittsburgh, and it's a 1-1 series. So, an opportunity today for the Islanders to get back into the win column after that terrible loss on Tuesday, an opportunity for them. I believe they play tonight, right? I believe they play tonight. An opportunity for them to get back into the win column. Yes, they do. So Islanders, Penguins tonight. Lightning, Panthers, Maple Leafs, Canadiens, and Wild, Golden Knights. So an opportunity for the Islanders to take a game at home. This is a big game tonight. Because if the Islanders lose tonight, now you just lost 2 straight, and the Penguins got all the momentum. If the Islanders win tonight, they can at least contain the momentum and get an opportunity to have another home game, right? You don't want to go 3-1 and have to head back to Pittsburgh 3-1. I think the worst case scenario for Islanders is you got to split at home. But you have a great if you could take 2 home and head in 3-1, even if you're 2-2. You cannot lose 2 at home and then expect to win the series going to Pittsburgh. So, big couple games here for the Islanders. Anyway, let's get into the podcast. So, with all that being said, this is the BSN Network podcast, and let's get right into it. So, so last night, whether you were watching the game or you weren't, whether you're a Yankees fan or you're not, whether you're a Texas Rangers fan, whether you're a Yankees fan, whether you're just an MLB fan, whatever the case may be, there was yet another no-hitter last night. I am very proud to say that I was able to witness the no-hitter. It's rare. I know there's already been all those no-hitters out there, but I know, the chances, of seeing a no-hitter and seeing a perfect game are very, uncommon just because they're not very common. Now, no-hitters this season have been common, but for a fan like me, the other no-hitters, I saw highlights. I was not actually watching those games because I just wasn't. I just wasn't watching those games. I saw highlights. So this was by far my first no-hitter I've seen this year, and it's just something special to see, and it is. And I understand no-hitters are very, have been common this year, and there's been a lot of them, and that doesn't take away the fact of how good a no-hitter is to pitch, but there's been a lot of them. So, for me to see it and for me to, watch one last night was really special. And let me tell you who was special, and that was Corey Kluber. Obviously, has thrown the 6th no-hitter this season in the MLB, and I'll add an extra stat for you, the 311th no-hitter in MLB history. So he has joined the record books. He has joined the history. He will go down in history as a player to throw a no-hitter, and he will go down this season as the 6th player in the MLB to throw a no-hitter. And the trajectory we're going on, it looks like there will probably be more players to throw no-hitters out there. That's how good the pitching been this season, and that's how many no-hitters we've already had. There's a chance we have 7 no-hitters by the time we get to June. We need one more no-hitter within the next couple weeks here until we get to June. And obviously, one thing that was really crazy was there was back-to-back no-hitters. Obviously, obviously there was back-to-back no-hitters. So obviously, Tigers threw one on Tuesday night, and then Yankees and Kluber threw one last night. So it really is crazy, how many no-hitters there has been this season. But I said this yesterday, and I said this yesterday when I was talking about the no-hitters in baseball. I said, just because there's 6 no-hitters this season does not mean that they're not that special anymore. A no-hitter is still an incredibly hard thing to accomplish. It's still incredibly hard. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. You got to throw through 9 innings, get 27 outs without letting up a hit. Okay? And that's big. And another thing, too, about Corey Kluber's no-hitter last night is he had 28 up and 27 outs. If he doesn't walk that batter, that's 27 up, 27 down, Yankees perfect game by Corey Kluber. So yes, it was a no-hitter. But some people might just say, oh, well, it was a no-hitter. He could have walked 2 guys or, walked 3 guys and, just throw a no-hitter. No, he was on last night. And Corey Kluber was special last night. And when the Yankees signed Corey Kluber, did I think he was going to throw a no-hitter? No. Okay, for the people out there who thought Corey Kluber was going to throw a no-hitter for the New York Yankees, maybe you're right, but you're a little crazy, that prediction at first. Now, you're not crazy now, but, I would have definitely thought you were crazy saying he'll throw a no-hitter. But he did, and he did it so well last night. Now, last night, what I noticed with Corey Kluber was he was in excellent control, and when the Yankees signed him, I said, a guy coming in, 35 years old, coming off of a shoulder injury, definitely not the Corey Kluber that he once was with the Cleveland Indians when he was winning Cy Youngs and arguably the best pitcher in baseball and got some of the nastiest pitches in all the MLB, right? He wasn't that. I said, I don't expect that kind of Corey Kluber to come to the New York Yankees, nor did, and not saying Corey Kluber doesn't believe in himself, but I think Corey Kluber realizes too, he's not what he once was. Now, last night was vintage Corey Kluber. 9 strikeouts, 101 pitches, very efficient, 9 innings. That was vintage Corey Kluber. Now, he has never thrown a no-hitter in his career, but that's what Corey Kluber did with the Cleveland Indians on a night in and night out basis. He would go out there and give you 7, 8, 2-hit ball, maybe 1 run, 9, 10 K strikes, 9 to 10 strikeout games, and be efficient with it. And he was very efficient last night. He was, and that's one of the keys. Everyone's going to look at the strikeouts, and people are going to look at the hits. But one thing that was so good about Corey Kluber last night was the fact that he was efficient. He wasn't using too many pitches an inning. His highest pitch inning was 15 pitches. That's not high at all. Some guys have 30 pitch innings. He only had 15. So he was efficient. He had like around 80 pitches around the 8th inning. He was averaging about 9 to 10 pitches each inning. He ended up with 101 pitches through 9 innings. That is very efficient and very, very good. Now, he obviously threw 9 strikeouts, and his command was on. He only walked 1 batter, which is big because, sometimes no-hitters can happen, but you might walk 3 guys and still get a no-hitter. But his command was on, and he wasn't throwing many balls, and I think there was this thing, I think he threw like 71 strikes or something, and only like 30 balls, which is a really great percentage, which is really great, and that means about 71% of the time it was a strike, and he was jumping in front of batters early. His slider was just nasty last night. Like I said, last night looked like vintage Corey Kluber, and I understand a lot of Yankees fans are just going to say this. They're just going to go out and say, oh, well, Corey Kluber, this is why we got him, for him to go out there and pitch a no-hitter, and for him to be out there and go this. But it's the truth, though. And not the no-hitter part, but it's the truth that, Corey Kluber has been good for the New York Yankees. Obviously, the first 2 to 3 starts of the season, he was a little rusty, but the past, I would say 4 to 5 starts for him, if he's even had that many yet, he's been really, really, really good. And that's all about knocking off the rust. And so far, for the New York Yankees to only giving him a 1-year deal, and I believe it's only around $11 million, he has exceeded that value, and he has exceeded expectations, I think, by a lot of Yankees fans. He's got a ERA just south of 3. He's got an ERA just under 3. It's about a 2.88 ERA, I believe, somewhere in that vicinity, if I'm remembering correctly. And last night, obviously, really helped his ERA with the 9 scoreless, 1 walk, 101 pitches. And I could pull it up here. Obviously, 71 of those pitches were strikes. He got a 2.86 ERA. So, for a guy who's on a 1-year deal, getting paid $11 million, you would assume maybe a 3.3 ERA or 3.4 ERA. No, he's pitching a 2.86 ERA with a no-hitter in there. So he has been very good for the New York Yankees, and he has done what the Yankees needed him to do. He's been solid throughout the year. Last night, he was just dominant. And he's done well. And you just got to hope that he keeps this up. Now, I don't mean I expect him to go out there and throw a no-hitter every single night. I mean keep it up where he's solid. He's been solid this season. He's obviously got a 2.86 ERA. Going into last night's start, he had like a low 3 ERA. Obviously, with the 9-inning scoreless runs, that will really help your ERA. So he's been solid. And now, all of a sudden, the Yankees' rotation is starting to take shape. You got Garrett Cole, you got Jordan Montgomery, you got Domingo Germán, you got Corey Kluber. The guy that's left that you need to start to get going, and hopefully he can, is Jameson Taillon. Taillon is kind of that last guy to get going. He's kind of that last piece of the puzzle, and maybe the Yankees do actually have a rotation that could go into the postseason and pitch well, and that can go into the postseason and win us some games. Now, surprisingly, our pitching has not been the issue in the postseason these past couple years. It's been our hitting. There's been 1 or 2 guys that will hit really well, but the 7 other guys in the lineup won't hit well. So maybe now the Yankees have finally got a solid rotation, obviously led by Garrett Cole, then Corey Kluber, then Germán, then Taillon, and then Monty. And Monty's been very good this season. Now, his last start against the Baltimore Orioles wasn't that good, but I look at it and say, hey, right? You can't be great every game. Look at Cole. Look at Cole, against the Rangers. He pitched the first game of that series. He was not that great. He struggled. He only threw 5 innings. That was the shortest start of the season. So you look at, Monty had a tough start, but Monty's been good this season. Kluber's been solid, and obviously last night he was dominant. He threw a no-hitter. The only guy that's left in this rotation to get going is Jameson Taillon, and I don't want to sit here and be a Debbie Downer, but, Taillon's been through a lot. With the, arm injuries and all, he's had some health issues and stuff. He's been through a lot. So maybe this is just a year where he's just has a little bit of a down year. And I know it's only May 20th, and, he's going to probably have, if he stays healthy, 10, 15, 20 more starts this season, assuming a pitcher gets about 25 to 30 starts every year. He's not even halfway through the season with him if he stays healthy, and if the Yankees decide to keep going to Taillon, because he got David Garcia, your young stud that's lighting it up in AAA. You just got to hope now with the New York Yankees that Taillon can get going, because last night I think sealed the deal for the New York Yankees that they got 4 solid pitchers. Not great, but 4. Now, Cole's great, but altogether, they're solid. They're a solid rotation. It's a rotation that can go out there, win you some games. And when I've talked about the Yankees a lot, it hasn't been our pitching this season. I've said that. Surprisingly, it hasn't been our pitching that's been the issue. It's been the bats that have been the issue. And yes, last night we won, but we only had 4 hits and 2 runs. We only had 4 hits last night. And that's very unlike the New York Yankees. And obviously, for a team that, for a team that, has all these big bats, and I know we're dealing with some injuries right now, but still, when you got a lineup with Voit, Judge, Torres, Urshela, and LeMahieu, and guys like that, on the, some of the big names in that lineup, and then when Stan comes back, you expect this lineup to explode a lot, and they haven't done that. So I've said all season, with this team, it's not been the lineup. It's not been the pitching, it's been the hitting at times. Because our pitching has had moments where we will let up 3 runs and our hitting won't, there was a time earlier in the season where we would be down 2-0 and it would seem like we were down 10-0 because we couldn't get any base runners. When we did, we couldn't get those into runs. But like I said, I'm not going to sit here and complain. I'm just saying, if Taillon can get going, Kluber last night, I think, really showed us that he can be a solid pitcher, right? Last night, the no-hitter, going out there, absolutely dominating from start to finish, pitching efficiently, slider was on, fastball looked good, location was good, 71 strikes. Last night showed us that Corey Kluber is, in fact, a guy that is going to be a solid piece down the road in this rotation. And I mean down the road, I mean, if we make the playoffs and when we get around September, when we need big starts, I believe Kluber now, I feel really confident that he can get the job done. Because last night, that was Cleveland Indians' Corey Kluber. And sometimes you see that. Now, like I said, we're not going to get that out of Kluber every night. It's impossible. You're not going to throw a no-hitter every single outing. But, Kluber, he started the season a little rough, but I said that. I've been saying it all along with him. I've been saying, you just got to stay patient. He's 35 years old. He's a little bit older now. He's not what he once was. He had the shoulder injury. And last night, he went out there, threw a no-hitter, and he's been hot. Ever since about the second to third start, he's just been on this groove. He just goes out there, shows no emotion whatsoever, and dominates. He dominated last night, threw a no-hitter, and it was awesome to watch. That's another thing, too. He doesn't show any emotion. I mean, last night you saw him. He didn't show emotion. When he got the no-hitter, and they were interviewing after the game, he was just standing there with this face. It was like, he wasn't showing any emotion. Now, obviously, when he threw the no-hitter originally, you got a smile out of him. And there was a couple smiles in the dugout. But another thing, too, is a lot of people don't realize, a lot of people forget about this, and I wanted to make this a point. Then I'll get to some of the stats. I wanted to make this a point. Higashioka called an incredible game last night. He did. And, that a lot of people are going to focus on what happened to Kluber, and that's obviously makes sense because, yes, the catcher, has got to frame it and all, and, catch it and, make the right calls, but, pitcher's also got to execute the pitch. You can have as good as a catcher as you want back there. If the pitcher can't execute a pitch, if a pitcher can't locate the ball, it's an issue. But Higgy did call an excellent game last night, and it's great to that Kyle Higashioka, a guy who's been bouncing up and down, in the MLB, and it's great that he will go down as catching a no-hitter. And that's one of the things that's very special about catchers. That is the truth. And, Kluber, right when that pitch was thrown, so it was obviously a line drive or a ground ball to LeMahieu, an easy play for LeMahieu. He got it, took a couple steps, threw on the first. Kluber's first thing was right to Higgy. They obviously, ran right at each other. That was it. Because, them grinding together the whole game. And when Higgy's out there with Kluber, Kluber's been very good. And I think Kluber now is also kind of moving towards having Higgy as his catcher. So, Higgy, it's very cool for Higgy, too. For a guy that's bounced up and down in the MLB or the minor leagues, he's been up, then he's down, he's up, then he's down, then he's up, and then he's back down, and he's down, and he's back up. He's been all over the place. He's been with the Yankees here for a while, but he's been up and down, up and down. He's now finally got a consistent role in as a catcher. Look what he does. Goes out, catches a no-hitter, and his name as well, along with Kluber's, will go down in the history books. And like I mentioned earlier, 6th no-hitter this season, and 311th no-hitter all time. Now, you might think 311 is a lot. I mean, it is a relatively big number, but go out of all the games that have been pitched, and calculate that, it's got to be less than like 20% of the games. It's got to be like one in every something pitches a no-hitter. So, And I believe the most no-hitters thrown in a season was like 7 or 8. So we're definitely on pace to beat that. We're on pace right now, to be honest, to get like 9, 10 no-hitters. But we'll see. Someone's got to step up and throw another no-hitter. Who is that? Are we gonna go for the 3 tonight? Yeah, right. Wednesday night it was a no-hitter, or Tuesday night no-hitter. Last night no-hitter. Are we gonna go for a back-to-back no-hitter? We'll see. But definitely special to watch. Congratulations to Corey Kluber on a dominant outing and the no-hitter. And it was just so exciting as a fan, to know, to just see that and witness that. And, just dominance at its finest last night. And like I mentioned, Yankees won 2-1. They moved to 24-19 on the season. And an opportunity to win 3 out of 4. To win 3 out of 4. And that's another big opportunity. And then you head back home and play against a White Sox team that's obviously got a lot going on there with La Russa and, the lineup and, the unwritten rules. And they've got a lot of stuff going on there. So maybe the Yankees catch them sleeping and you say, okay, now we finally get on a little bit of a groove here. But 24-19, Yankees won 2-0. This game was cruising all along. Through 5 innings, it was a scoreless game, and then obviously the Yankees struck in the 6th inning and scored 2 runs, 4 hits, no errors, was the final stat line for the New York Yankees, and obviously Kluber's final stat line and the Texas Rangers' final stat line, it was no runs, no hits, no errors, and Kluber's final stat line, I've read it probably about 1,000,000 times, but I'm going to read it again, 9 innings, no hits, no runs, no earned runs, obviously, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts, no home runs, obviously led up. 101 pitches, 71 of those were strikes, and his ERA is now 2.86. And he moves to 4-2 on the season as his win-loss record. And you go back to the play-by-play, and obviously you go back to the play-by-play, and you go down to all the way to the 9th inning, and Calhoun grounded to shortstop. It was a 0-1 count, grounded to shortstop, and Corey Kluber and the Yankees celebrate. That was not on the play-by-play, the celebration part. But yeah, and obviously the Yankees runs that they scored, it was a Higashioka walked, then Wade tripled to deep center, Higgy scored, then LeMahieu hit a sac fly to left. Wade scored, and that was your scoring for the New York Yankees last night. So 2-0 is your final. Corey Kluber pitches a no-hitter. And second straight day, and I mean just a gem and dominance. I mean, it's a no-hitter, so any good word you use will be good. And obviously this is kind of his stats all year long. Obviously, guys, 35 years old. He's 4-2, which is tied 14th in the MLB. He's got a 2.86 ERA, which is 22nd in the MLB. 50 strikeouts, and 1.17 WHIP. So for a guy that we got on a 1-year deal, kind of just a flyer, a low-risk move, he's been very good. And obviously he's pitched 9 games so far this season, 4 wins, 2 losses, 2.86 ERA. And, I wanted to go back to his first couple starts because it's the truth. His first start he pitched 4 innings, second start he pitched 2 innings, then 4 innings, then 4 innings again. I wanted to read this to you. He started out, right? When his first 4 starts, the Yankees were 1-3 in those games he started. Now, let's look at his last 5 starts. Let's look at his first 4 starts compared to his last 5 starts. His first 4 starts, 4 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 runs, 1 earned. Obviously that. So, now, that was his first game back. So, that's tough to say because it was his first game back. But still, 4 innings pitched. His second start was 2 1/3, 5 hits, 5 runs, 3 earned, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, and he took the loss. And his ERA at that point was 5.68. Now, it gets worse. The next start was 4 innings pitched, 6 hits, 3 runs, 3 of those were earned, 2 home runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts on 77 pitches, and his ERA then is 6.10. Now his next start, 4 2/3, 2 hits, 2 earned, 2 runs scored, 2 earned, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts, and he gets lost. His ERA drops a little bit to 5.40. Now, you head to the game against Baltimore. It gets better. 6 2/3, 6 hits, 1 run, 1 earned, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. A very solid start. His ERA is now 4.15. Now let's look at his starts in May now. 8 innings pitched against the Tigers. 2 hits, no runs, no earned, 10 strikeouts. And his ERA drops to 3.03. Now let's go to the Nationals. 5 2/3, 6 hits, 2 runs, 2 of those were earned. 3 walks, 6 strikeouts. And now his ERA goes up 0.3, it's 3.06. Now his start against the Orioles. 6 innings, 7 hits, 4 runs, 4 of those were earned, 1 home run, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. His ERA goes up a little bit to 3.48. And then Texas last night, 9 innings pitched, zeros across the board except the 1 walk, 9 strikeouts, 101 pitches, and his ERA is now down to 2.86. So what I'm trying to say with Corey Kluber here is he's gotten better throughout the year. And it seems like, just in the beginning, he was knocking off the rust. He throws the no-hitter last night, and this could just be the absolute launching pad to just being really good this season. And maybe this is kind of like him just emptying the tank this year. Him going all out, trying to win a World Series, going all out and trying to get it done. Maybe that's what he's kind of thinking. Just empty the tank. And this season, in games he has started, the Yankees are 6-3. He's had 9 starts this season, 5 in April, 4 in May. His last 5 starts, the Yankees have won all 5 of those, so he's been 5-0 in those last 5 starts. Yankees have obviously his last 5 starts, the Yankees are 5-0. And obviously the Yankees are 6-3 overall when he starts this season, which is really good. And like I said, the Yankees are 4-0 in May, and when he starts, and obviously last night it only adds on to it. And you could see the stats get better and better and better. He went from 4 innings to 2 1/3 to 4 to 4 2/3 to 6 2/3 to 8 to 5 2/3 to 6, and then obviously last night the 9-inning no-hitter. So he's getting better, he's progressing, and at 35 years old to throw a no-hitter coming off of an injury like that is really crazy, and just dominance from Corey Kluber last night. And, maybe that's kind of one of those things that, gets the Yankees going in a way. Maybe that's something that Yankees get him going. Now, you got to hope that today it's not like a hangover from last night, because they did a lot of celebrating, I'm sure. There was a lot of talk about it. This might be, this might be one of those things where there's a hangover, but you just got to hope that Boone and the Yankees stay focused and just go out here and, obviously you could talk all about it, on the plane ride home to Chicago, you could talk all about his no-hitter. But today you got to focus, dial in for 3 hours. And, I'm sure they were there were some pictures in the locker room when spraying champagne and all that. So a long night last night, getting excited and all that. Yankees now got to dial back in and get focused and get ready for today's game and hopefully pull out the win. So that's what I got for Corey Kluber. And, comment down below your thoughts on the, obviously, 6th no-hitter this season and 311th all-time. And Corey Kluber makes history last night. Alrighty, so coming up next, like I said, I want to get into Nathan McKinnon. Guy is just, on another level right now. Had a hat trick yesterday in the playoffs. Has just had a good year this year and is doing well. So I wanted to get into him, and I also wanted to kind of just get into the Avalanche. Because the Avalanche, we all knew they were good, and they look even better in the playoffs. So I wanted to get into all that stuff coming up next. Alrighty. So the Colorado Avalanche and Nathan McKinnon, they look pretty good right now. They really do. So the Avalanche last night won their game against the St. Louis Blues 6-3. It was an overall good team effort. Overall, it was a good team win, but they had some really big help from Nathan McKinnon. He had 3 goals and an assist. And the game before that, on Monday, Nathan McKinnon also had 2 goals and an assist. So Nathan McKinnon in 2 playoff games this season has had 5 goals and 2 assists. So if that's not good, then I don't know what is, because this is a guy that's been dominant and is just, had a good regular season. He had some ups and downs throughout the regular season. He had some moments where, he was doing good. He was a little streaky during this year. He obviously had 65 points, 20 goals, and 35 assists. So, he was a little streaky this year, I guess you can kind of say, but I don't even know if streaky is the right, or 45 assists rather. I don't even know if streaky is the right thing to say, because obviously at 20 goals this season, it was a shortened year. You give him, 15, 16 more games, maybe he gets up to the 30 goal mark. I don't know. But, he definitely had, he had a good year. Obviously, I think he can even put up bigger numbers if it's a full 180, if it's not 182, if it's a full 82 game season. But right now is all that matters, right? No one's going to remember what happened in the regular season. No one's going to care what he did on that random 37th game of the season. No one's going to care about that, okay? What they're worrying about now is now, and they're worrying about the playoffs right now. And we all know that the Colorado Avalanche, coming into the Stanley Cup playoffs, were the favorites. They obviously won the President's Trophy, best record, most points. They had all that good stuff. Obviously finished first in their division. They were, what the President's Trophy is it's pretty much the best team in the NHL in the regular season. Playoffs is a completely different thing. You see sometimes, the President's team, the team that wins the President's Trophy, the 1 seed, they get knocked out. Now, the Avalanche, that could just be me, and maybe the Blues make this huge comeback, but the Avalanche right now look like they're dialed in, and they look like they're focused, and they are playing, it's almost like they're playing in a way with a chip on their shoulder. They're playing hard, they're playing fast, they're creating space, they're getting, close, they're making good passes, they're shooting the puck. That's one of the big things. So many teams out there are hesitant to shoot the puck, and the Avalanche aren't one of those teams. They shoot. They had 35 shots on goal yesterday. They shoot. They shoot the puck. They're not a team that's hesitant. Some teams are very hesitant, especially when it comes to playoffs. Instead of just shooting it and getting it to the net, they try to make that extra move. They try to, make an extra pass. Instead of just turning and shooting, sometimes they try to, maneuver, try to, cut in front of the net, try to, pass it back out, whatever the case may be. Some of these teams try to do too much. The Avalanche play not calm hockey, but they play simple hockey. And I don't mean that it's simple to stop. It's very difficult to stop. But the Avalanche play their game. They go out there, do their thing, and they score. They put up 6 goals. And I said this at the beginning of this series. I said the Colorado Avalanche were going to sweep them. I did. I said that. I believe I had them sweeping them. Because I had the Vegas Golden Knights and Minnesota Wild going to 7. And I said the Avalanche are going to be well rested for whoever the winner of that Wild Vegas game. I have Wild Vegas here, as I obviously have Vegas. But in this case, the Avalanche here, they very well could take 4 here. And we'll obviously got to see, the Blues now get, 2 home games here. So maybe they might be able to steal 1 at home or, completely tie the series up, which I don't foresee happening. And I get it. Obviously the Blues are, and the Blues are, obviously the Blues have, had some, a little bit of issues with injuries here, without, obviously, without their, best, I guess you gotta say their best goal scorer this season, their best scorer in general, David Perron, and stuff like that. But, I mean, you talk about just the way they're playing this game, and the Avalanche, they're just so simple, they're calm, they're going out there, nothing seems to phase this team. And I wanted to get into the New York Rangers here for a second, because the Rangers have an issue of doing this, where they'll try to make an extra move, they try to make that extra pass. Instead of just getting the puck to the net, they just try to do too much. And the Avalanche, for a team that's so good, and they're obviously, are the 1 seed and the expected team to win it all, at 82 points this season, and obviously had the best record, for a team who finished the season on a 5-game win streak, for how good they are, they play a very simple game. They don't complicate things. They don't do anything special. And like I said, I don't mean this in a negative way, I mean it in a positive way. Like, they don't do too much. Like, they don't overthink things. Nathan McKinnon, those other guys, they go out there, they play loose. They almost play like this is just a regular season game. Play loose, same game plan, same thing. A lot of times when teams and coaches and players do this, when they get to the playoffs, they try to all of a sudden change things up. When in reality, it should just be this. Go out there, play your game, shoot the puck, get pressure, and the Avalanche do an excellent job at that. And Nathan McKinnon, who's one of the best players in the NHL right now, does an excellent job at that, and he's proving it with 5 goals in the first 2 games of the series and the first 2 games of the playoffs. And last night, 3 goals and assists and a plus-minus of +2 on 4 shots. He shot the puck 4 times last night, and 3 of those went in. Now, let me mind you, one of them was an empty netter. Obviously, when they were up 5-3, it was a stolen puck. He was right in front of the net, tapped it right in. That was an empty net goal. But hey, it's still a hat trick. It's still a hat trick. You know, I'm not one of those fans that says, oh, it's an empty netter, it doesn't count. No, he scored, yes, I get it. But even if he doesn't score that, that's still 4 goals in 2 games. He did get the hat trick. He put the cherry on top with the empty netter. But the fact that he's got 5 goals in 2 games, last night, 19 minutes and 44 seconds of ice time, is just amazing. And he's showing all of us that when it comes to playoff time, he's different. Because he had a good season this year. I wouldn't say he had a great year, but he had a good season. He had a solid year. And now, he's even showing us why why some people think he is the best in the league. Now, I think McKinnon's a great player. He's got a bright future ahead of him. I still think Connor McDavid's the best player in the NHL. McKinnon's right behind him, though. McKinnon's definitely right there. So, what he is doing on a night in and night out basis is just amazing. And 3 goals, like I said, an assist, that's 4 points. Obviously, 2 goals and 7 points in 2 games. 5 of those goals, 2 of those assists. And this Avalanche team, we all knew they were going to be good. But in the playoffs, and I understand it's against the Blues, and the Blues are obviously, a heavy underdog, and they're without David Perron, and, they barely, they got into the playoffs at, 27-20-9, which is, if you combine the overtime losses and the regulation losses, that's below 500, and they got 63 points, and they were obviously 12 points, they were obviously, 19 points behind the Blues. I get that. I understand that they, they barely squeaked in, and, they were still playing for something late in the year. I understand that, and they're without David Perron. I get that. There's a lot against the Blues here. There really is. But the Blues don't have that of a goaltender. I mean, Jordan Binnington is actually very solid. He can go out there and give you a solid effort. And he let up 5 goals last night, and he let up 4 the other night. Obviously an empty netter. So, and the Avalanche too. They're not letting off their foot off the gas pedal. That's another thing I like too. I get it's the Blues, but they're crushing them. And that's good. Because we see this too often in sports, where a team will be a heavy favorite, and they go in there and they don't give it their all. They're kind of just like, oh, yeah, we'll get it done. And all of a sudden, you find yourself, oh, crap, it's a 2-1 series, or, oh, it's a tie game. The Avalanche are keeping their foot on the pedal, and they're pedaling hard, and they are just they're just going straight forward. Whatever they see, they're just demolishing it in their sight. And they're playing physical. They are... Braden Shen and some of the Blues have been trying to, get their team, going, with some fights and trying to get pushing, and the Avalanche push right back. And like I said, the Avalanche go out there and they'll shoot and they'll shoot and they'll shoot and they'll score and they'll score and they'll score 10 goals in the first 2 games, only 4 by the St. Louis Blues. They've outscored the Blues by 10-4 here. 10 goals, 4 goals for the St. Louis Blues. And like I mentioned for Nathan McKinnon, that's 7 points in 2 games, 5 of those points off of goals, 3 last night, 2 on Monday night. And the Avalanche have a day off today. They'll play again tomorrow against the Blues. And if they take a 3-0 series lead, the Blues are finished. They are done, season over. They are not coming back from a 3-0 lead. And Nathan McKinnon is showing us again all why he is in the conversation for one of the best players in the NHL. And one of the young players, too. One of the best young players out there. Alrighty, so I wanted to read you the goals he scored last night. So, like I said, this is another thing, too, with the Avalanche. They scored 35 seconds into the game, and they scored again. The Avalanche took a 3-0 lead. They've been off to quick starts, and that's another thing, too, that I noticed. You look at the game on Monday. They got off to a quick start, scoring a goal. Then they let up the Blues score a goal, but then they let up 3 straight. Then they scored 3 straight goals. I get it. I get that. 2 of those goals by McKinnon were empty netters, but still, the fact is he's got 5 goals in 2 games. Last night they started off 3-0 game, so they scored a goal 35 seconds in. That was a goal scored by Jonas Donskey, assisted by Ryan Graves and Nazem Kadri. And at 18:05, a power play goal scored by Nathan McKinnon, assisted by Cale Maker and Jonas Donskey. Then in the second period, Avalanche scored 3:14. Power play goal scored by Jonas Donskey, assisted by Nathan McKinnon and Mikko Rantanen. And then obviously, Blues scored 16-17. Goal scored by Sammy Blythe, assisted by Kyle Clifford and Torrey Krug. And another goal by the Blues. And then here it is again. Short-handed goal by Nathan MacKinnon. 15-25. MacKinnon, they see them. They're making a slight comeback. MacKinnon makes it a 4-2 game. Short-handed goal. Goal scored by Nathan MacKinnon, assisted by Devin Toews and Gabriel Landeskog. And then a power play goal by the Blues. And then another short-handed goal here. 7:51 short-handed goal by Braden Saad, assisted by Tyson Yost. That was an empty net. And then, I thought they mixed it up. I thought MacKinnon got the empty netter. This might be mixed up. Not sure. And in 1948, short-handed goal scored by Nathan MacKinnon, assisted by Mikko Rantanen and Gabriel Landeskog. So there was the goal by MacKinnon 18:05 in the first period. And then let's see. 18:05 in the first period. Where's the second one? 15:25 in the third period, and then 19:48 to finish the game off in the third period as well. So 2 goals in the third period, 1 in the second. Avalanche wins 6-3, and now you have an opportunity to take a 3-0 lead, and that's big. That's big. That's a great opportunity to take a 3-0 lead, to really jump in front of them. And I guess you can already kind of say the Blues' backs are against the wall. I mean, they've got to win tomorrow. Tomorrow is pretty much like is a must-win game, and a lot of times you see that. I don't know in sports. We saw the 3-1 comeback, I know, but I don't believe in sports we've ever seen a 3-0 comeback. I don't know. I don't believe so. But tomorrow's like a must-win for the Blues, and that's only gonna hurt in a way, because tomorrow, the Avalanche, given that it's a must-win, the Avalanche are gonna go out there and give it their all and just try to win 3-0, and then you got one more game to go. But I mean, the Avalanche look better, I think, now in the playoffs than they actually did, going into the playoffs. Like, I had the Avalanche winning it all. I did. I have it right here. You can watch when I made my bracket. I have it right here. I've always have it here because I check off what I got right and wrong and all that stuff. I had the Avalanche winning. But, I went off the regular season, obviously, and I also went off some of their key players. But they look better now than you do in the regular season. And maybe that's just me, because I didn't watch all their regular season games. I saw a couple here and there when they're nationally televised on NBC and stuff. I saw a couple here and there. And I saw some highlights, obviously, because Nathan MacKinnon seems to be making so many highlights. But, I mean, for those of you, who watch hockey, you might be, maybe you disagree, but I think we can most agree that they look better now than they did in the regular season. They've outscored their opponent 10-4, and they're getting off to quick starts too. And that's one thing I notice is big. They're getting off to 1-2 goal starts, and they're scoring the first goal, and they're getting off, and they're starting off quickly, and they're starting off on the right foot. And that, I think, too, is part of that. They got their foot right on the gas, and they're just rolling. Whatever they see, they're just crushing in their sight. And that's one of the things. Like, they haven't gone off to slow starts. I mean, yesterday they scored a goal, 35 seconds into the game? 35 seconds into the game they scored a goal. And that was Jonas Donske. I just wanted to read you that. I think I'm saying his name right. Apologize if I'm not great with the names. But it's the truth. They're just rolling right ahead. And this team looks scarier now than they did going into the playoffs. And whoever is going to play this team, they're going to have their hands full. And I did predict the Lightning and the Avalanche in the finals. Now, I think an Avalanche-Lightning series. Now, also tonight, Lightning have an opportunity to take a 3-0 lead against the Panthers. Very surprising there. I did not think that was going to be the case, but Panthers got some goalie issues. Lightning are scoring, and they're another team, too, that's just cruising right now. But, if it does, in fact, turn into a Lightning-Avalanche game, that's going to be a fun series. There's going to be a lot of offense in that series, given that, with MacKinnon and Rantanen and, Towles, and then you look at the Lightning, and you got Kucherov and, Stamkos and Point and guys like that. Really, really, really good teams on both sides of the puck there. So that would be a fun series. Now, is it going to happen? I don't know. We got to see how it all plays out. Right now, it does look like the Lightning and the Avalanche will moving on, as they are both up 2-0 in their respective series. So, but like I said, we'll see how it all goes. Maybe, I don't think it's gonna happen, but you could possibly have a slip up game here or there with the Avalanche. But that's the thing with the Avalanche. They, I don't know if their coach said anything. I don't know what their plan was, but it just seems like they're playing with a different mind. It just seems like they're going into these games playing a simple game, getting shots on net, making passes here and there, setting up guys, but they're not. They are making that extra pass at times, but they're not doing too much. It's okay if you make that extra pass, but they're not doing too much. When they get an open shot, they take it. They take it. Famous saying by Wayne Gretzky, you miss 100% of shots you don't take. And one of the things, too, is what you got to do in hockey is at least shoot. If you shoot and you put it in front of the net, there's about 3-4 guys there usually trying to screen the goaltender and a guy, trying to push him away from the goaltender, whatever. There's a lot of times a lot of people in front of the net. There's a really good chance that it tips off of someone's stick or whatever, and it goes in. Just shoot it. That's all you got to do. It's obviously, I make it sound easy, but it's the truth. If you at least shoot it, it gives you a great opportunity. And that's what the Avalanche are doing, and they're doing it really well. So that's what I wanted against the Avalanche, and that's what I wanted against Nathan MacKinnon. He's doing it. He's doing it very well. He's scoring. He's making plays. He's loading up the stat sheet, especially here in the playoffs. Alrighty, so I wanted to get into New York Sports Update, like always, here to close out this podcast. Another good podcast here today. We'll keep it with the NHL here. Obviously yesterday, like I mentioned, Avalanche won. Jets took game 1. Hurricanes won. Bruins won. And the Flames finished out their regular season with a win. Hurricanes, like I mentioned, they won. They're 2-0. They're up 2-0 in their series. So we'll see how all that goes with them. But the Hurricanes right now, they're rolling. 2-0, and there's some series that I think are they're going to be maybe tough to win. But anyway, today we got the Lightning Panthers. This game comes on today, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time on USA. I'll give Lightning the win. They're cruising. They're rolling. Then we got the Penguins Islanders, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on NBCSN. Give me the Islanders. I said last game would be a letdown game. It was. I think they return home tonight. Well, I know. They return home tonight. They'll get an opportunity to try and get a win. I think they'll get it done. Maple Leafs Canadiens, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on NHL Network. Definitely give me the Maple Leafs. And the Golden Knights Wild, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time on NBCSN. Give me the Golden Knights. As for the NBA, yesterday the Lakers won and Grizzlies won. So Lakers move on to play the Suns in the first round. And the Grizzlies move on to play the Warriors, and the winner of that game will play the Jazz. And today in the Eastern Conference, we got the Wizards and Pacers. Wizards come into this game 3.5-point favorites. The over-under is 237.5 for this game. This game comes on today, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on TNT. Give me the Wizards. Despite the loss to the Celtics, I do think the Wizards will get in, and I think they'll get in and play the Sixers first round. And as for the MLB, yesterday we got the Mariners won, Dodgers won, Astros won, Cardinals won, Nationals won, Royals won, Indians won, Red Sox won, Rays won, Marlins won, Giants won, Padres won, and White Sox won. The Braves won last night against the Mets. I apologize if I said the Mets won earlier. Apologize about that. I messed that up. I meant to say they won. They ended up losing. So I apologize about that. But the Mets did obviously lose here. Let's get up the stats. It's a little slow here. Let's get this. Alrighty. So, okay. All right, now I got it up. I don't know why it took a little bit to load here. All right, so Braves obviously won 5-4 against the Mets. Mets moved to 20-17 on the season. And, and obviously the Yankees won yesterday. Yankees won 2-0. We moved to 24-19 on the season. Like I mentioned earlier, Kluber, no-hitter, dominant start. As for today, we got the Giants, Reds. I'll give Giants the win. They've been cruising this season. I'll give them a win. Rays, Orioles, I'll give Rays the win. Cubs, Nationals, I'll give Cubs the win. Astros, A's, give Astros the win. Twins, Angels, give Twins the win. Marlins, Phillies, I'll give Phillies the win. Twins, Angels. I'll give Angels the win, actually, for both games. Twins can't get anything going. I'll give Angels the win for both games. Braves, Pirates, give Braves the win. Blue Jays, Red Sox, give Blue Jays the win. And Dodgers, Diamondbacks, I'll give Dodgers the win. Yankees also play today. Yankees coming in this game 24-19. Rangers coming in this game 19-26. Domingo Germán's on the mound for the New York Yankees. And Dunning's on the mound for the Rangers. Obviously, Germán gets the ball today for the Yankees. Let's see. 78% of people will think the Yankees will win this game. Coming off a no-hitter, coming off all that, I'll join those people, and I will say the Yankees win this game and head back to New York on a winning note to open up a homestand. As for fantasy baseball, I'm currently losing 256 to 175. But today I've got going Will Smith, Luke Voit, Gene Segura, Josh Johnson, Carlos Correa, Marcus Semien, Alex Bregman, Christian Yelich, Austin Meadows, Dylan Carlson, Manuel Margot, and Avisail Garcia and Matt Olson. So we'll see how all that plays out there. And then, so that's what I got for that. And no pitcher starting, but there could be relievers, so we'll see how that goes. So, That's what I got there for. Although I don't think Manuel Margot is starting, so. Although I don't have anyone on my bench. Everyone's off. Lowry's on my bench, but probably won't play him. He's been struggling, so I've been thinking about getting rid of him. I've been looking at options. It's pretty easy to tell when I'm trying to get rid of a guy because I usually bench them. But he's been struggling, Lowry. I picked him up off of waivers. He was playing really well. He was on my lineup for like a good week. He was playing well at the beginning of the season. I picked him up. He had a good couple weeks, and then all of a sudden, it was just like now he's back to he was batting up like 290. Now he's batting like 250, I think. He's been striking out, and he went from having like 70% of people having him in leagues to having to dropping to like 56. So he's definitely losing opportunities on rosters. And I've been looking at Austin Riley because he's been doing well. But the problem is he's a third baseman. So, and I dropped Jorge Soler, so I don't have a DH. I do have Yermin Mercedes, but I just kind of do catcher with him. DH catcher doesn't matter. DHs are tough. You don't have to have a DH. You don't. But, if you want a guy that's going to get you home runs, that's what a DH does. But DHs are tough. All the DHs out there, all they do is just swing. A lot of them just, it's a home run or nothing with them. That's how it is with Jorge Soler. I picked him up. He's batting like 195. He'll hit a home run here and there, but other than that, I dropped him because he's not going to give me consistent production. There's a couple guys that will give you consistent production, but, other than that, 4-2 in fantasy baseball, so I can't complain. I'm doing well, although I'm not doing great this week, but you got to hope that maybe today there's some player breaks out. That's all you need is one guy to just have a really good day, and then it seems like the team just does well. But we'll see how it all plays out. But that will do it for the podcast here today. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. It was another very, very, very good podcast. Tomorrow we will have another podcast, obviously to wrap up the week. Obviously Friday, then I take breaks off on the weekend. So tomorrow will be another podcast to wrap up another week. And, hopefully you all enjoyed it. I will see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.